A bride stands at the altar, about to say, "I do." Everything seems perfect, until her smile fades and a chilling argument erupts in front of 200 guests. She storms out, her wedding dress billowing behind her, her fiancé left standing in disbelief. But here's the twist: she's never seen again. No phone calls, no texts, no trace. The police launch a full investigation, but the deeper they dig, the more questions they find. Was it just cold feet, or is there something darker at play? Her fiancé's alibi doesn't add up. Her family's secrets start spilling out. And just when the investigation seems to hit a dead end, a key to a hidden room turns up, one that nobody saw coming. The clock's ticking. Who's lying? Where is she? And why was she really running away? Megan Hartley was beautiful. She had the kind of smile that could light up a room. She had dreams of a perfect life with the man she loved, Andrew Lawson. They met 5 years ago, and from the moment they met, it was clear they were a perfect match. They were inseparable, best friends and lovers, planning every detail of their future together. And now, that future was supposed to begin. That's what made this day so perfect. A gorgeous church, a white dress, and the start of forever. But as Megan stood at the altar, something was off. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Her fingers trembled slightly as she gripped Andrew's hand. Guests in the church looked on, sensing that something was not right. The air was thick with anticipation. And then, it happened. Just moments after exchanging vows, something sparked, a confrontation. It was brief, heated. The officiant stumbled, unsure what to do as the couple stood frozen. Andrew's face grew red, his jaw clenched. Megan's face twisted in anger. The whispers among the guests began. What was it? A disagreement over the vows? A personal conflict no one had expected to surface? Or something darker, something no one could have imagined? Megan suddenly pulled away, her face pale, her hands shaking as she backed away from Andrew. She turned toward the aisle. "Where are you going?" Andrew called after her, his voice laced with panic. "I'm done," she said, her voice barely a whisper. The words hit the guests like a slap in the face. The woman they thought would be the perfect bride had just said the words no one ever expects to hear on a wedding day. "I'm done." Megan turned, her heels clicking against the marble floor as she stormed out of the church, disappearing into the cold evening air. The guests were left in stunned silence. Andrew stood frozen, his face full of confusion and disbelief. His bride had just walked out, and no one could explain why. Megan's family was frantic. They immediately called the police, but by the time authorities arrived, it was already too late. Megan was nowhere to be found. At first, they thought she might have gone to a nearby hotel to cool off, but when they checked, she wasn't there. Then they thought she might have returned home, but the house was empty. It wasn't like Megan to just leave. Her friends described her as strong-willed, but never impulsive. The woman who had been planning this day for months would never have just disappeared without saying something. The police quickly launched a full-scale search. They checked her phone records, interviewed friends and family, and even examined security footage from the church. But no one could find Megan. Then, things began to get strange. One of the first inconsistencies the police discovered came from Andrew himself. At first, he said he had no idea what happened, that the argument came out of nowhere. But as they dug deeper, Andrew's story started to shift. When questioned about the details of the argument, he grew defensive. His timeline didn't add up. He'd mentioned that they'd argued over Megan's family, but then said it was about something much deeper. But the more the police pressed, the more things didn't make sense. Why did Megan leave in such a rush? What was the argument really about? And why hadn't Andrew been more concerned when Megan stormed out of the church? As the search for Megan continued, police discovered something that would change everything. Megan's phone was found, but it wasn't where she had left it. It was tucked behind a dumpster in a back alley, completely shattered. No one had seen her take it there. No one had seen her in the alley at all. How did it get there? The discovery of the phone raised more questions than answers. And then there was the car. Megan's car was found just 1 mile from the church, but it was abandoned. The keys were gone, her purse was still inside, but her wallet was missing. There was no sign of struggle in the car, nothing had been stolen, and there were no traces of her blood. The car had been parked as if Megan had just gotten out and walked away on her own accord. As the investigation deepened, police began to focus more on Andrew. His behavior after Megan disappeared raised several red flags. For one, his actions didn't match his words. He was too calm, too distant. He wasn't out searching for her. He wasn't even calling her friends or family to help with the search. Instead, he spent hours on the phone with his lawyer, making sure his alibi was airtight. The more investigators learned about Andrew, the more suspicious he became. Why did Andrew seem so detached when his wife had just disappeared? And why, after everything, did his story continue to change? The twist came when Andrew was seen talking to a private investigator days after Megan disappeared. When asked, Andrew claimed he just wanted to get some peace of mind, but the police weren't so sure. Was Andrew involved in Megan's disappearance? Had he planned something even darker? Or was he just an innocent man caught in an impossible situation? The questions mounted. As the investigation pressed forward, a shocking development occurred. New evidence surfaced from an unlikely source. Megan's best friend, Sarah, came forward with a shocking revelation. Just days before the wedding, Megan had confided in her about a secret she had been hiding from Andrew. Megan was terrified. She had found out something about him, something so dark, so disturbing, that she was planning to confront him the night of the wedding. Sarah didn't know what it was, but she knew that it had something to do with the secret Andrew had been hiding. And it was this secret that had caused Megan to walk out that night. But what could it be? What had Andrew done that had driven Megan to make such a drastic decision? As investigators pieced together the evidence, they began to unravel a twisted web of lies, secrets, and deception. And just as they were on the verge of finding the truth about Megan's disappearance, something happened that no one could have predicted. A tip came in. An anonymous caller reported seeing Megan in a small town about 100 miles away from the wedding venue. The investigators rushed to the location, hoping to find the missing bride. But what they found was even more shocking. The trail was cold, but it led them to a hotel where they found a key. But the key wasn't to a room. It was a key to something much darker. What was this key, and what did it unlock? As Megan's case grows even more bizarre, and as the shocking twists pile up, we are left with a chilling question. Where is Megan Hartley? And what does that key unlock? Stay tuned. The investigators were standing in the small, dimly lit hotel room, their hearts pounding as they stared at the key in front of them. It wasn't just any key. It was old, weathered, and didn't seem to fit into any standard lock. The mystery deepened, and with it, the pressure mounted. The anonymous tip had led them here, but now they were stuck. What was the key for, and why had it been found in a hotel miles from Megan's wedding? The investigators quickly ran a background check on the hotel, but nothing seemed to connect it to Megan or Andrew. No record of Megan ever being there, no signs of her presence. But there was one person who had checked into the hotel under a fake name. A name that raised more questions than it answered. Andrew Lawson. Andrew had stayed in that hotel just 2 days before Megan's wedding. But why? The discovery of Andrew's stay at the hotel sent shockwaves through the investigation. But it wasn't until they uncovered something else, something even more chilling, that the case began to unravel in ways no one expected. They found the hotel room key in the possession of a man named Lucas Granger. Lucas was an acquaintance of Andrew's, someone who had come up in the background checks, but no one had ever thought much of him.
That is, until they found a strange connection. Lucas Granger had been Megan's ex-boyfriend. Megan had dated Lucas during college. Their relationship had ended badly, according to friends. Lucas was obsessed with her, and Megan had always kept her distance after their breakup. No one knew Lucas had reappeared in her life until now. As it turned out, Megan had broken up with Lucas years ago because of his increasingly controlling behavior. He didn't take it well, and rumors had surfaced that he had been following her ever since. But why was Lucas involved now? Did Andrew know about Lucas? Was this key to their strange connection, or was it something far worse? The investigators dug deeper into Lucas's life and uncovered a disturbing fact. He was working with Andrew. The two men had been planning something together, something that no one could have anticipated. The truth began to surface in fragments, strange, cryptic pieces that didn't seem to fit until they all came together. Andrew and Lucas weren't just acquaintances, they were partners, and they had been planning something for months. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, Megan had started to suspect something was off. Andrew, her loving fiancé, had been acting distant, but the red flags weren't just about his emotional state. They were about something darker, something tied to a series of hidden conversations and secretive meetings between Andrew and Lucas. Megan had found out, and just before the wedding, she had confronted Andrew. That was the argument that had sparked her walkout, the moment everything had unraveled. But the confrontation was only the tip of the iceberg. Megan had discovered that Andrew and Lucas were involved in a scheme, something far beyond betrayal. The truth was chilling. They had planned to fake her death. According to the evidence that came to light, Andrew and Lucas had been conspiring to disappear Megan without a trace. They planned to make it look like she had died during a staged accident, and in the process, they would both collect a massive life insurance payout. Megan had stumbled upon their plan, and it was this discovery that led to the fight at the wedding. The plan was twisted, evil, but Megan was no fool. She knew something was wrong. She tried to get away from Andrew, but they had already prepared for her escape. The key, found in the hotel room, was the final piece of their plan. It wasn't just for a hotel room. It was for a secret underground bunker, a place where no one could find her. But the shocking revelation didn't stop there. As the investigation progressed, they discovered that Lucas Granger wasn't the only one involved. There was someone else, someone who had been lurking in the background the entire time. Megan's own mother. Police uncovered text messages between Megan's mother and Andrew, where they discussed plans to get Megan out of the way. At first it seemed strange. Megan's mother, the woman who should have been protecting her, was helping Andrew and Lucas orchestrate this twisted scheme. Why would she be involved? Then it came to light that Megan's mother had been facing severe financial struggles. The plan wasn't just about Megan disappearing. It was about securing money that had been promised to her as part of a hidden agreement with Andrew. The plan had been in motion for months, and as the pieces of this betrayal came together, it became clear that Megan had been caught in the crossfire of a conspiracy much larger than anyone had imagined. The deeper the investigation went, the more they realized how close they were to uncovering the truth. But just as they were getting ready to make arrests, something unexpected happened. Megan's mother, who had been cooperating with the authorities, suddenly disappeared. It was as if she vanished into thin air. No one knew where she went. No one knew who helped her escape. But what was clear was she wasn't running from the law. She was running from something much darker. Had she been part of the plot all along, or had she simply been a pawn in a much larger game? And what was the true motive behind Megan's disappearance? Was it really money, or was there something else, something more sinister that no one had uncovered yet? Just as the investigation thought they had the case closed, a final bombshell was dropped. A single photo was found in Andrew's personal belongings, taken weeks before the wedding. In it, Megan's mother was standing beside a man they didn't recognize. His face was blurry, but one thing was clear. He was holding a large envelope. The investigators sent the photo to forensic experts, and what they discovered shook them to their core. The man in the photo was none other than the private investigator Lucas had hired. But why was Megan's mother working with him? It turned out that the envelope in his hand contained the last piece of the puzzle, Megan's original birth certificate. And it was that document, signed and altered, that was going to be used to finalize the scheme. Megan wasn't just a victim of a plot to fake her death. She was a pawn in a much bigger game, a game that involved her identity being erased completely. But just as the investigation reached its peak, something even more disturbing came to light. Megan's father, who had been absent from the wedding, suddenly came forward with a chilling confession. He had known about the plot from the beginning. He'd even agreed to the plan. But what was his role in all of this? Was he really part of the conspiracy, or was he simply trying to protect his daughter? As the investigation shifts, one question remains. The case continues to spiral deeper into the shadows. Secrets are exposed, lies unravel, and no one can be trusted. But as the clock runs out, the case remains unsolved. Stay tuned for more updates. The truth is out there.